Now, let me just make a couple of other points about the names Nephi and Lehi. Now, we've mentioned this before, and these are just proposals. We don't have final confirmation. But it is interesting that the best scholarship suggests that the word Nephi is an Egyptian word that means beautiful, lovely, goodly, and the word fair. Fair as in beautiful. Now notice when Nephi begins his record, 1 Nephi chapter 1, I, Nephi, having been born of Nephi, or goodly, or lovely, beautiful, fair parents. Notice what happens when the Lamanites join with the Nephites. It says in verse 16, the young men and young women became exceedingly fair. If we translate this back into Egyptian, it'd be, they became exceedingly Nephite. And we actually know the Nephites are this way because of covenant keeping. Covenant making, covenant keeping. Okay? Their countenance would have been white, but white with the beauty of the Spirit of God. Now, if you remember back in 1 Nephi chapter 8, Nephi talked about the tree of life. And how did he describe the fruit? He described the fruit of the atonement of Jesus Christ using words that in Egyptian were just derivations of his own name. He must have loved writing about this. That the fruit was beautiful, fair, and desirable. And he calls it white. And I'm pretty confident that none of the Nephites looked white like the shining fruit in the physical sense, but there was a sense of spiritual engagement because of the covenant keeping. Okay, so Nephi is the covenant keeper, beautiful and fair because of covenants. Laman, as we've talked about in the past, may come from the Semitic word meaning la'aman, which means not believe, no covenant. Okay, we've talked in the past that the word believe is actually can be seen as a covenantal word. So when you join in covenant, say baptism, you become fair, desirable, lovely, and beautiful because you are in this covenant relationship with the person who is beautiful and desirable. You become like him, fair and beautiful, and that is Jesus. He is the one who gives us the covenant. So I hope that perspective can help us to see, perhaps in a larger perspective, what may be happening in the society of Nephites and Lamanites at this point, that the Lamanites are converting into the covenant keepers, and that we can consider how well are we doing at making and keeping covenants, and thereby experiencing the full beauty and fairness that God has to offer.